Okay, hey everyone. This is kind of a throwback Thursday in a way, but it's really just me going over this book. So I the first thing I want to say is it has been a while since I've gotten new Urban Explorer footage. The whole South has just been plagued with harsh, cold air. All last week it was just, it was covered in snow. We're just now starting to thaw out in Maryland here, as it is returning to the 40s after it's been consistently 20 degrees. So that's good. But unfortunately, where Letchworth is, I think it's going to be a while before I can do a part 2 of that. Because it's actually still snowing out there in New York, and yeah, I mean, we are in January, so. But I did want to talk a little bit about this Liber Falxifer book. I did mention it in my other 2 videos about Lord Death, and Lord Death has popcorn now. As do they. As does Lucifer. So, I actually made this rosary to him. And I did this while I was at work, actually, because I do have some time in that booth. And yeah, so what I did was I put a scythe at the end of it here, and yeah, it's dedicated to Mott. And this is the 3rd printing of this book. Now, I had mentioned that this is flawed in many ways. The first flaw really is the idea that death started with man. If you believe in Genesis, you are no different than the Bible-thumping evangelical, honestly. It is absolutely absurd that death would be created because Cain was the first murderer of humanity. Death is far older because you have to count in the dinosaurs, for example. If we look at evolution, we find that death is actually quite older than Genesis itself and what Genesis suggests. So, for a cult, that claims to try to separate itself from Abrahamic beliefs, they certainly use a lot from Genesis. And that is a flaw, unfortunately. Life and death does not circle around us. The sun does not rise and set with humanity. There was life here before us, and we know that. Science teaches us that. So if you're a Luciferian and you're not questioning science, or you're not questioning certain religious beliefs, then you're not really doing what you should be doing as a Luciferian, in my opinion. Hey, Cosmo. it's very essential to question everything that is given to you. Is actually one of the Luciferian statements that I came up with was, constructive thinking, basically. So, having said that, it's a good book. It really is. It is what it is. I like part one better, I have to say, because it goes into Senor La Muerte. So it goes into the whole South American, Argentine cult of this folk saint, who is Lord Death. This is not, once again, this is not Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte is from Mexican more. She is actually the wife of Senor La Muerte. She's easier to work with from my understanding. I don't work with her. I've never worked with her. I'm just now starting to work with Lord Death, to tell you the truth. So he talks about, like, making these little, these peye, carved out of human or animal bone. Basically, these are like little amulets that people can wear. And I imagine if you travel to Argentina, you can probably find those anyway. But he talks about, like, the open and closed cults. So the closed ones are more left-hand path. The open ones are more Catholic. Because the Catholic Church does not recognize Senor La Muerte, or San La Muerte as he's also known as. What they have to do is they have to hide him in a basket and then trick the priest into blessing him. So they'll hide him in a basket full of flowers, and then they'll trick the priest. The priest doesn't know that he's actually blessing the statue. And it's got some spells in here. They're, very Kumbanda-like. It is a good book if you're into Kumbanda. It is going to carry some of that over. But you also have to remember that this is the MLO, Misanthropic Luciferian Order's version of it. Then he goes into, like, kind of the pagan roots here. And this is where he starts getting into figures that are like Mott, basically. So the Mexican kind of origins, and so, like, the Aztec origins, he's the Lord of Mictlan. So Mictlan is the Aztec hell, basically. And he is, to the Incas, he's known as Sapé. Ruled over the kingdom of death and the dead. Is considered to be both the god of death and the master of demons. His symbol was a skull, but his own representation often showed him as a terrifying form of horned demonic god. And it's interesting because when he appeared to me in a dream, he had horns. And I literally just heard a knock on the door after I said that. Or in the wall or something. There was a knock on the wall literally after I just said that. So I think he agrees with what I'm saying. It's funny because last night I was obsessing over a house. There's a house I want to see in Pennsylvania badly, and I've been trying to get people to tell me where it is. And it's got all this satanic graffiti and writing on the walls, and it's kind of like the profanity house in New Jersey. And it's got like blood all over the walls and shit. But basically, if you look online, everybody calls it the Satan House on YouTube. And nobody will give me the location of it. So I'm sitting there like sending messages. Literally, after I came home from work, I was just like checking on messages, that I sent to other urbexers. And unfortunately, with urban exploring, you have a lot of cold-blooded people that do this, where they will covet locations and they won't share with other urban explorers. They're just really nasty, honestly, about it. So it's in Pennsylvania, and I've been obsessing about this fucking house. I definitely want to see it before I move away from Baltimore. And I heard a big, distinct pop, literally in the air. And other people say that, like, there's a knock on the wall sometimes. Sometimes there's a pop. When you like bring Lord Death in your house, you're gonna start experiencing all kinds of stuff, like knocks and lucid dreams and all that maybe have something to do with him. But it was almost like he was saying, "Don't worry, the location of the house is going to come to you eventually. Stop stressing." Like, please, stop obsessing about this stupid house. But if anybody has, like, any idea of what I'm talking about, like, if you've seen videos of it, or if you actually have been there, please just give me the location. But a lot of people just call it the Satan House or something. It's got all this huge writing on the walls and stuff, and images of demons and blood on the walls and everything. I'm sure people have seen a video by now of that. But he was literally just like, "Look, stop stressing about it." The other thing he talks about in here is Azrael, the angel of death. And he also goes into this king, Ray Pascal's mission. Is it? I think it's Pascal's. Ray Pascal's. He was this king or something. He was this noble king. And of course it carries on Christian elements to it, where he would extinguish candles that represented people, and then they would die. So he goes into that too. Which, if you talk to people who mix Catholicism with working with Lord Death, they're oftentimes going to refer to that story. And then here's where we get to the Pagan aspect here. Which does not make any sense, because death precedes us. If we look at evolution, it precedes us. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, dinosaurs never existed. I mean, come on. Science tells us that there was life on Earth before us. So there's no fucking way that it's determined by Cain. I mean, But, yeah. The recipes are pretty good. I will say there is some sensitive stuff in here pertaining to animal sacrifice. You're going to find that when you get into Kumbanda, when you get into, oh my God. When you get into anything really that's kind of, you know, I don't really get the whole pig's blood thing personally. I mean, if you're going off the fact that it's Cain, I mean, did Cain eat pork? I mean, Cain, most people think Cain was a vegetarian actually because he was tiller of the earth. And there's kind of an argument that his offering wasn't good enough to Yahweh because it didn't involve animal offering. So, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, you know. And if we're going off of, like, the fact that Genesis is a Jewish book, I mean, why would you offer pork? But, however, I will say this Mott does eat anything. So, yeah. I still have to get a sickle or a small scythe so I can do that. I get the feeling I'm going to come into one pretty soon. I'm going to start looking into getting one from like an antique store or something. Because the ones online, the new ones, they're not sharp at all. You want one that's actually been involved in cutting. Those antique ones are pretty sharp. So, but, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about getting the second one, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to work with Santa Muerte. Because the second one goes into the female one. I just don't know if I want to introduce that into my household. I've heard mixture. I heard that he's a little bit more difficult to work with. She's easier, but some people say she can be jealous also. So, yeah, it's kind of up in the air on what I want to do with that. But, yeah, it's an okay book. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can definitely change, you know, around with it and stuff. I mean, and look, if you do see him as Cain, like, that's fine. But, he came to me as Mott, so. I just heard another knock. I literally heard another knock. He's pretty active. Yeah. So, I think he wants his rosary back, too. I usually stick it on him. So, yeah. But anyway, in closing, yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. I will say it can be pretty powerful. But yeah. So if anybody has like read this book, I mean, just let me know in the comments section. You know. And yep. Like I said, I probably will end up getting the second one. I have been actually writing down some of the third one. Just because these books are so expensive. So when I'm done with this. I'm going to probably let you guys know. But I'm just kind of jotting it down with the stuff that I can use from the PDF. So I'll probably go into that too. But yeah, just let me know in the comments section how you feel about this. So anyway, peace out, hit like and subscribe. Thank you.